No? Yes. Hi, everyone. I'm Deniz Minican. I'm leading the data analytics area in central AI and data function that we have in H&M. And today I'm going to talk about why you should care about more than your data. And I wish I could say that we arranged it with the previous presentation, the context thing, but we didn't. It's just luck. But context matters. I'm going to use some exaggeration and a bit hyperbole to make my point in this presentation. But other than that, I'm fully behind everything that I say. So, yeah. And to be honest, I don't think you are my target audience either. I'm very happy that my HM colleagues are here. I'm very happy that some people that I know are here. But the fact that you're here means that you actually care about this. And probably the people that I'm after is the ones that are the hardcore data people, the ones who believe that business is business side job. So, and quote unquote business side job. But anyway, let's get started and let's try to make this fun. When we think of trusting our data, data quality is the first thing that comes to our minds. And with the AI hype, with the Gen AI hype, you've probably seen a lot of posts on LinkedIn on anything AI, LLMs, agentic AI is the thing these days. But then you've probably seen also the other side of the story. The ones that are posting angry things on LinkedIn on, no, this doesn't work. It all starts with a strong data foundation. We need data quality. It's garbage in, garbage out, all of those things, right? And I'm not that active on LinkedIn, but I'm one of these people as well. I really believe that it all starts with a strong data foundation. If you don't have a good foundation, good data quality, whatever you do with your crappy data is worthless, right? But despite this being something very close to my heart, and I believe it's yours as well, I think we have enough people fighting this battle. So I'll continue fighting this battle, but I'll leave it aside for my personal life and professional. But I'll focus on something that receives much less love and attention. I'll start by asking some easy questions, so bear with me, okay? Play along. I promise I'll get to my points. We agree with the statement, right? Yes, can I see a raise of hands? Yes, thank you, thank you. Simple mathematical equation. What if I say that we are trying some activation, some new feature that we are testing, and this is what we see. We were selling 100 last week, and we are selling 125 this week. Would you still agree that this is a good thing? Yeah? Yeah, some, yes? What if this week was Black Friday? Does this still mean that it's a good thing? Yeah, can I see some hands again? Yes, less hands. And for reference, you can sell up to 2 times and even more on Black Friday week compared to a normal week, right? So maybe this is not so good anymore, given this additional context. But the good thing is Black Friday is hard to miss, right? Everyone knows when it is, so it's like you cannot miss this. So let's take another example where it is not Black Friday. And my stakeholders are running, again, an activation, some kind of discount, some offer, and this is what I see. Can I put this on a dashboard and say that this is one of the main KPIs, sales is on a scorecard, and then I put like a timeline and then say that like my sales are developing really well, I'm doing good. I could, but like, should I do that? Like, is this really why it's happening? And I know like correlation, causation, right? Like it can be anything else that's happening outside. It can be the weather, it can be new tariffs, it can be Elon Musk tweeting, anything these days, like, right? This is crazy these days. But then you could say, I put this on a time series, and I look at, I look at what's noise, what's signal, what's seasonality. So that's not an issue. I can deal with it. But at the same time, what if you are doing several other things at the moment to improve sales? Because in a company like H&M, there can be tens of different activities like happening in different parts of the company that you're never going to be aware of. It's impossible to know. And maybe that's also affecting what you're seeing. Maybe it's not happening because of what you are specifically doing. And then you can say, okay, then I go deeper into AI. That's why we have data science. That's why I have AI, Gen AI, LLMs, agentic AIs. So I put this all in a model. It spits out what I need from what I need to know, right? But let's take a step back. Let's be a bit more data literate. I know for a fact that nobody in this room will just put something on a timeline and say that, yeah, we're doing much better than before. So, and it does, by the way. Don't get me wrong. Unfortunately, it does. So I'm not saying this just from an exaggeration point of view, but let's move on. Let's be more data literate. Let's say that I'm running a simple A/B test for simplicity, to make it simple. And now I can say that comfortably what I'm trying out is working, right? Because I have a test group, I compare it with my control group, I have my statistical significance, the sample size is good, the power of my test looks good, everything is in place. Am I content? What about now? What if my customer base is around 20 million people and the target audience for this, the target segment is only 15,000? Is this still worth the efforts? Can I recommend this as an action to take to my stakeholders? Maybe not so much, right? And what about the opportunity cost? Like, even if it brings some value to the company, can you do something else maybe that brings a bit more value? Okay, let's say we take it one step further. Now I'm looking at, in that A/B test, I was just testing one thing, right? And you can test, of course, several different things in an A/B test, but let's assume that now I'm testing several different things and I'm combining them. I'm looking at the combinations of these different actions in a multivariate test. And now this is what I see. I have 4 different versions, and version C seems to be a clear winner. Do we agree with this? Yeah? You are more hesitant. I like it, because now you got the gist of the presentation. Maybe not. Because what we have here, among other things, was we had a 50% discount on all items. So is this still that good anymore? Is this still the best option? And the answer, again, is not that simple, because it depends, right? It depends on what I'm trying to achieve. So is it worth increasing the sales while I'm destroying my profit margins? Or is it I'm trying to improve both? Or is it just that I'm trying to increase sales and I'm not really focusing on the profits at the moment? Our stakeholders come to us with a simple request generally. They come to us saying, build me a dashboard. Can you provide me these numbers? Can you run me a test? We should always start by asking why. What are you trying to achieve? And then we guide them accordingly on how can they do that and what KPIs to follow and so on. We should be not data providers to them, not insight providers, but we should be strategic advisors to them. That's how we should think about our work. We are the data experts, so we should help them use data, AI, analytics, all of these in an optimal way. And we help them understand data, and they help us understand business. Going back to the 50% example, we had a good example of this in H&M, where H&M Home tried getting H&M customers who have never purchased H&M Home items before. So in that case, they offered a really good discount for these customers, again, H&M customers, but never purchased anything from H&M Home before. And in that case, they didn't really care about the cost that much. They didn't care that their profits would be going down, as long as they create long-term customers and repeat customers for H&M Home. Because then that doesn't become a cost anymore, right? That's an investment. So context matters. Talking about customers, this brings me to my next point. Are my insights customer-centric? Unfortunately, when we work with insights, it's really easy to get short-sighted. We look at an activation, an offer, a new feature that we are testing, and then we look at that period of time and say, oh, this is working or not, it's not working. The results are good or not. And then we take a decision, and then we never look back. But are we really considering of the long-term effects? Are we following up on what happens to our customers and users in different time frames? Are we considering the fact that behind every t-shirt sold, there's a human being? There's a 25-year-old student, there's a 40-year-old family man. There is someone who is actually taking that action. Are we considering the fact that they're buying a discounted t-shirt today, for instance, means that they're not going to buy its full price next week or next month? So we really need to understand if our customers, and this is how we think about it, right? We think first customers, and then like what's happening behind that. If they are doing something today, what does it mean for next week? What does it mean for next month, next year, and so on? And then we take it back from there. We should understand that for people to change their behaviors, let's say we are, changing how our user experience on our website is. How long does it take for a person to change their behavior? It doesn't happen overnight, right? You don't change your behaviors overnight. You don't change your habits overnight. So it takes time. Like, think about it when you are thinking of your results next time. And at this point, sometimes I get this answer, like when I talk with some other colleagues of mine or friends in B2B businesses, they're like, oh, maybe this is not so relevant for me, but it definitely is. And it's even so for us in H&M. Okay, so you have done everything right. Let's say you have approached it from a customer-centric perspective. You have actually used the right methodology. You understand your customers, you understand your business needs and what your business stakeholders are after. You have done everything right. What's next? Sales, again. But not like the sales that we talked about before, but it's selling your insights and recommendations. And I'm really happy that today there were talks before to talk about like how actionable it is and so on, because it is important to understand that we need to convince the decision makers, right? And there are two key things, in my opinion, that are really important in doing this. First, regardless of my stakeholders, I want to make sure that my insights and recommendations and my AI models are actionable. And I'm going to quote Huberman on this. I'm going to go into this, but if I knew that if I've listened to Steen's presentation today, I probably talked about that as well. He did a great presentation. If you haven't seen it, go back and watch it on the Agorify app. But we need to make sure that when we are presenting something, that's what we are presenting, what we are suggesting is actionable, is feasible. It should be able to drive change and drive positive business outcomes. And the thing that I want to say about Huberman is, I suppose most of you know Andrew Huberman, but for the ones who don't, he's a world-renowned neuroscientist and podcaster. And one of the reasons that he is super successful as a podcaster is he always, even if you don't understand the science behind everything he says, and it's impossible to do that, he lets you go out with a toolkit that you can use in your personal life in an actionable way. You're like, okay, I can go away from this podcast and do this, and this to make an impact in my life on this subject. So this is how we should think about our work being actionable. And the other part is the storytelling. How well do we know the people we are trying to convince? How well do we know our stakeholders? How data literate they are? How do you actually tailor your approach to them for them to take the right decisions? And I also say this I remind it to myself, I say this to my team, my colleagues always. If your communication is not working, if the decision makers are not taking the right decisions, you cannot say that, oh, I tried it, they don't understand me. Like, we are not running the same codes over and over again and then like, oh, I get an error every time. Like, why is this happening? So we don't do that in our technical work, so let's not do that in our communication as well. If something is not working, try it, like think about it as a problem that you're trying to solve. Like what else can I do to make it work? So these two things, right? And I want to finish with a set of protocols following my own advice to make it actionable, and also in the footsteps of Huberman and others, Steen and others. And I want to start with this one. I hope everyone behind can see this, but what it says is understand, strike through, care about your business. And initially, I named this understand your business, but then I thought you can't really force someone to understand something. To understand something really well, you need to care about it. So if you don't care about your business, yeah, I don't know what to tell you. Like maybe think about a different industry. Like I've changed careers over my professional life. Like you can do that. Like yes, but jokes aside, you really need. There are two things, right? When we work with data, either your company's main business is not data. And in that case, the sole reason that we exist is to make that business successful. So then you need to understand the data, the business. And the other option is you work for a data company, but then your client's main business is not data. So then you need to understand what your clients are trying to do. So in both cases, you don't have any option. So try to learn about the short-term and long-term goals of your customers, your clients, and then think of how you support them, what kind of KPIs to follow accordingly in different parts of its business's value chain. Try to understand what does success look like for logistics. What are the main KPIs to follow for sustainability? What are the other parts of the business's needs? And then you go back to helping them about this. I know that I promised not to talk about data quality, but I couldn't stop myself, so I'll just squeeze it in to say that always ask for and always keep asking for a strong, robust data foundation. Ask for a strong data management solution that enables end-to-end visibility, end-to-end data quality, data catalog, so everything that basically allows you to focus on the right thing, which is helping create data-driven business decisions. And the final thing I want to say about this is the way you put context back to your data. Always remember that there's a cost for everything. There's a cost for consumption, there's a cost for ingestion, there's a cost for storage, there's a cost for the people involved in the process, including yourselves. So nothing comes for free. And think of always being not only effective, but also efficient. What I try to say by that is, learn the best practices for analytics, learn the best practice for BI, clouds. Try to optimize your queries, data models, everything that you do. That's how you get the best out of the data that you have once you have the context in. Have a customer-first mindset. Like I said, everything starts with the customer. Always try to understand who's behind the numbers you are looking at and what are their short-term and long-term behaviors, and reverse engineer that with your work. Use the best tool for the purpose. Don't reinvent the wheel. Like, it's very clear what kind of methodology works for what business problem that you are trying to serve. Try to understand the complexity or simplicity you need. And if you need complex methods, really, see if your business is ready for bringing that in place. See if you are ready with the resources and so on. And finally, learn to sell your insights. The two things, like I mentioned here, are actionability and also what was the other one? Actionability and storytelling. Yes, thank you. And finally, what I want to say is, go through that when you go back to work tomorrow, on Monday, whenever it is. Go to this list and see what are you doing well and what can you work on to do an even better job. And if you feel like you are doing all of this really well, come to me, because then I have a lot to learn from you probably, or I want to hire you. Thank you very much for listening.